welcome into March to the pod presented by Eternal Roofing, a show that is coming at you live on YouTube and Instagram and should have been Twitter, but apparently we haven't upgraded to the premium or whatever it is. I can't. We did. We'll figure it out eventually. Today, we're coming at you with reaction from the first scrimmage of fall camp. We have the designs for Bauer Stadium's renovation project and a look at the turf. 2 new recruits are added to the Cats 2025 class. I'm your host, Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. That's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of sports of SHSU. Again, all one word on Twitter and Instagram. The chief operating officer of the Cat Fund and proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Ben, we come back from break off to a rousing start because the producer isn't doing a good job of producing.
But we're still here. We're going to make it work. Our pre-production meeting was very lengthy, and we got a lot done.
You ready? All right, let's go. Why not, right? Let's wing it, right? There's a story when Alicia was pregnant with Gabe, and every year I forced the family to go look at Christmas lights around, and we drove out to my brother's house, kind of in a remote area between Wichita Falls and Iowa Park, and I thought I knew where I was going. You know, I'm from around that area, right? I grew up out there. I didn't really know where I was going. But every time I came to a stop sign, my pregnant wife, who was needing to use the restroom, is like, which way are we going? And I was like, we're going straight. Every time until we went straight until I figured out where the heck I was. And then we made a turn.
So you see the one road sign that looks familiar.
They never let me forget that either. Not the wife, not my daughter. They do not allow me to forget that night that I just kept saying, bleep it, we're going straight.
Yep.
And so we're going, yeah, it is. We're going straight to not live on there. And, Dustin Helton says those colors are not becoming of you. Yeah, I know, Dustin. It's,
Hey, Dustin said some nice things about how our turf looked the other day. So
he did. Dustin, I met Dustin finally. I did. I met Dustin at the coaching school in San Antonio. It was great. I saw he was there. Yeah, he was outstanding. We were both there at the Southland Conference Media Day, and it was great to catch up with him. And you know, he's a funny dude. Like what you see on Twitter, he is hilarious. Even more so in person, and then to watch like Commissioner Chris Grant see us in there and take shots at each of us during his different interviews was so much fun to watch too. That was fun.
And nothing will beat Dustin Helton running onto the field in Frisco in a bunny rabbit suit after South Dakota State wins the national title on national TV.
I told the Dave Campbell's team, I said, you guys remember the guy that was in the rabbit suit at the national championship game? And they're like, yeah. I was like, he'll be here. They're like in the rabbit suit. I was like, probably not. You won't recognize him.
Maybe if he was at the Missouri Valley conference or media day, he might have been.
Yeah. Maybe then he would have been recognized there, not by the bunny suit. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, it was great to see Dustin. A great dude, and really had a great time. We had other things going on this week, Ben. There is a podcast. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's the CUSA Roundtable podcast. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I have actually. I've been on all 4 episodes.
You're the knowledge behind it. That's why you're there, man.
Yep.
Without you, I'm up here talking about nothing.
Hey, just keep the train moving. Just keep the train
Sam
moving.
Houston, right? That's right. Yeah. So the Roundtable podcast put out their all offensive team, and they put out offense, defense, special teams. We're going to take a look at all of them. Offensive player of the year goes to Liberty, Caden Salter. Yeah, Liberty's got quite a few on there, as you would expect. The Bearcats, they've got Noah Smith up there, and that's it. Do we need to get more votes, Ben? How's that work?
Yeah, I'm not too upset about it. I talked about this actually on our episode that went live Monday, I believe it was. But I think everybody was going to pick Noah Smith. We knew he was going to be there, but I'm not too surprised to not see some other people. People don't really know who Ife Adeyi is because he didn't play a lot last year. Quavis Humphreys didn't play last year. And then it's really a timeshare at running back between 2, maybe 3 guys with Zach Hrbacek, John Gentry, and Jay Ducker. And so I don't know if any of them are going to get the volume to kind of warrant an all-conference selection, especially a first-team all-conference selection. So didn't really surprise me. And then I like what we have on the O-line, but there's some really good O-linemen in Conference USA, Clay Webb especially, who's probably going to be one of the higher draft picks in the conference coming up. So nothing too surprising here.
Yeah, honestly, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, who else would be on that list? There is nobody. Like you said, new quarterbacks, running back, none of them were impressive enough to put them on a first team like that. So really it is only Noah. So, okay. All right. We'll give him a pass on that one. How about the defense, Ben? Let's check over there. Let's see. Defensive player of the year. They've got CJ. Is it Basil or Basil?
I think it's Basil.
Okay. We'll go with that. And again, I look over here and I only see one cat, Kavian Gaither. That's pretty obvious choice. Is there anyone else that maybe could feel snubbed by this list?
Yeah, another one with Kavian. I think he was an obvious choice. We knew he was going to be there. I think a name that maybe could have been a snub, I wasn't surprised he didn't make it, was Isaiah Nixon. When he saw the field last year, he was very, very good, kind of really came into his own there at the end of the year once he started to get a lot of playing time. And so he's going to play a big role in this defense. And so I think Isaiah Nixon is definitely one that could have slotted in here. Not surprised he didn't make it, but I think if there is a snub or a guy that has a case to be made, it's probably Isaiah Nixon. And then I think Kavian Gaither, I was talking about this on Monday too on the roundtable. I think he's got a shot to maybe be Conference Player of the Year. He did it in 2022 in the WAC. And then Trevor Williams not being there, I think Kavian Gaither is going to put up some really big numbers. Trevor Williams led the country in solo tackles last year. Gaither's going to have even more reps, more opportunities for tackles. And we've seen him do it before. And I've heard he's had a really good spring and fall and summer camp. So really expecting big things out of him. But Isaiah Nixon is probably the only snub that maybe could have made it.
Okay, so we move over to special teams. And again, there is a Bearcat on this. Colby Sessum's pretty obvious, Ben. The 3 that are on there, you can't argue with any of them being on there. And I don't know that you have a really solid argument that anyone truly was snubbed by this either.
Yeah, and I think Colby Sessum's, once again, obvious choice, like you said. And I think he was pretty much a consensus choice between everybody on the roundtable. To be Special Teams Player of the Year, was the best kicker in the conference last year. Expecting big things out of him again this year. I thought maybe Jaden Cardell could have made it, but Jack Dawson is really good at Jacksonville State. So doesn't surprise me to see how this list turned out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, they did well. I'll give props where props are due. As much as I don't like giving props to anyone, I'm pretty stingy with that, Ben.
Yeah, you hold on to your props as much as possible.
Look, props are valuable. Okay, my props and praise are valuable.
Hey, few and far between. Also,
speaking of props and praise, do you want to know why we're trying to get back live and feel like we could have been today, should have been today? We'll get that fixed before next week. But live on Twitter is because we have a great sponsor, a fantastic relationship with our friends over at Eternal Roofing and owner Taylor Andrus. And look, they are kind enough and willing to sponsor us. Them and the people who want to see this show live on Twitter, they didn't deserve to be able to see that. And that's just the bottom line to it, regardless of feelings about how much it is paying for a site. And we all have different reasonings behind that. But when it comes down to it, They want to sponsor us. They're kind enough to do it. The least we can do is pay to make sure that we go live, and by next week we'll get that completely figured out.
We will, yeah. And I'm surprised with you talking Christmas lights in the open, you didn't bring up Eternal Roofing and all of their services, which include Christmas lights. I was very shocked. I thought that's the road we were heading down, but you just kept going straight.
Said, F it, I'm going straight. That's just it, right? I mean, that's the only way to go. Yeah. They do. And speaking of those Christmas lights, it is August 14th. Did you know that?
I did, and you're running out of time to get on the schedule.
You are, because they start that. You better get on there by September, I would think, or else you're going to be on a waiting list for Christmas lights. They also do more than just Christmas lights, though, Ben. They also do roofing, and that's why they're called Eternal Roofing. And they'll give you a free detailed roof inspection, fast professional service, no high-pressure sales pitch, exceptional workmanship qualities. Listen, give them a call. If you're watching on one of the live streams, visit eternalroofingtx.com or call area code 936-215-8539 if you're in Montgomery County. If you're in the Hill Country, dial area code 830-251-5673. And throughout, if you're anywhere else in the state of Texas, you could call either number and still be able to get somebody there. Definitely get a hold of our friends over at Eternal Roofing. If you need any sort of roofing or general contracting work, give them a call today. Ben, I was laughing there because the League World Series is on right now.
Oh, I gotta gripe with the Little League World Series after you're done.
Well, I'm gonna have a gripe with my son if he keeps trying to play baseball against the deep freeze while we're recording. What's your gripe with the League World Series?
I was watching it on lunch today. It was just what was on ESPN. And they now do a continuous batting order. It's not 1 through 9. It's everybody gets to bat, and then the lineup flips over.
Yes. What is so wrong with that, Ben?
What happened to putting your best 9 on the field?
Okay, as someone who actually spends some time to coach Little League baseball, not in the Little League organization, but the Burke Burnett organization. That's right. Boomtown, Ben. Boomtown. I will tell you that for the last 3 years, all the coaches agreed to do continuous batting. 2 reasons. Number one, it's about the strength of your team, 1 through 10, 12, how many ever players you have, right? Number two, as a coach, all I got to worry about now is getting them on the field, as opposed to trying to get them at bat and get them 3 outs. And those rules were tough, man. They were sometimes, not because, man, let's face it. When we're playing, we're not Little League kids that go 6, 7 innings. It's a little easier when you know you're going to get 6 innings in. We get 2, maybe 3 in an hour in like 15 minutes, right? So it's just easier. It's just easier on everyone. And when I saw it in the regionals last weekend, I was like, good. They finally came around. Did that change your opinion any?
A little bit at your level, but if we're competing for championships, I want my best 9 players out there. If we're
sorry, hold on, Gabe, go get my trophy. Go get the baseball trophy, Gabe. Gabe, I need you to go get the baseball trophy from a couple of years ago, please. I need a. What do you mean we don't play for championships, Ben? What are you talking about, dude? Hey, dude.
Maybe a world championship.
Right there. You see that? You know what that says? Burke Burnett, Iowa Park Baseball League champions, Ben. Champions. We play for championships, Ben.
I beg to differ. Or I plead the fifth.
I got a trophy that says so. Granted, it's not a world championship.
World championship level, I want to see the best 9 players out there. I don't know.
I don't really have a problem because if you don't have, say you're 11 and 12 are actually weak, it hurts you to have a continuous batting order.
Well, these teams got like 14 to 16. So, I mean, that's tough. I mean, if your best player's one, he might get maybe 2 at-bats in a game. If there's 16 players, you get run ruled in 5 innings, your best player got 1 at-bat.
Yeah. You know what? Get better players or carry fewer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's if you're getting run ruled by another team that's got 12, 14, 16 players, then they've got a deeper roster than you. That's probably the better team.
Yeah, it's just I've never thought of baseball that way. I mean, if the MLB did, it's very different.
Well, MLB shouldn't do that, right? MLB's different. It's a different level. It shouldn't happen in high school. It shouldn't happen in college. Little League is different because it's about making sure that everyone is slotted in there. They're going to get that at bat. There have been many games, and not just like the World Series level, but when I was umpiring, coaching an actual Little League organization and team, there was quite often that a player would not get to play. And that's the worst feeling in the world for an umpire, for a coach, for a parent, for everyone, right? For the player, even more so. So this kind of eliminates that one worry right there. And so I'm okay with it at Little League. After Little League, no, we're not continuing that conversation. Yeah. I also want to say this, though. Maybe it'll spur some major league teams to realize that the players in the top 3 positions in the batting order get more at-bats than anyone else in the lineup throughout the season. So put your 3 best hitters up there. Just saying. Saying.
Oh, I know. I know a lot of people have debated about why people are putting their best hitter in the 2-hole. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. Instead of batting them cleanup, put them in the 2-hole. I mean, they're your best hitter. They get more at-bats. There's a guy on in front of them. So
they get your best on base and hitter, right? Like, and then you get your best actual contact hitter, number 2. Number 3 should be your 3rd best hitter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be power. 4 doesn't. Power, you know what? If all you have is power, I'm putting you towards the bottom of my lineup anyway, usually.
Yeah, you're a 5 guy, 5'6".
I'm talking 7'8".
That works too.
If you don't make enough contact that you're going to strike out a ton, I don't need you getting more at bats. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a baseball podcast, though.
No, we're talking a lot of football today, so we'll get there.
We are talking a lot of football, so at least we got some baseball then.
Yeah.
Not to do with the Cats, but hey, if you're still watching, thank you. Reaction from the first scrimmage of fall camp is here. We have questions. Ben has answers. It is America's favorite segment. What say you, Ben? Starting with the most important room, quarterback room. Where does the competition for starting quarterback stand at this moment?
Yeah, so I've told a couple people this the past couple days, kind of where it's at. So this is the 3rd year in a row that we probably won't know the starter until game day, shortly before game day. But the past 2 years, I think it was kind of known who the guy would be. Jordan Yates 2 years ago after transferring in from Georgia Tech, and then really all signs pointed to Keegan Shoemaker last year being the starter. But this year, I think for the very first time out of those 3 years, it's truly a 50-50 battle between Hunter Watson and Jace Bauer. And so I think both have looked really good in the scrimmages from what I've heard. Hunter was still ramping up. The scrimmage was only his 2nd or 3rd full contact, like full practice of training camp. And since he had his minor knee surgery. So he's still ramping up. And really, I think what it comes down to is what does Hunter look like when training camp is done, when you get to your final practices before game week. And so we're about 2 weeks away from game week, a little less than 2 weeks away. So Hunter's probably got 10 days to try to see where he gets to. And then I think the team internally will kind of know a decision. So I think it truly is a 50-50 battle, and it really all depends on what does Hunter look like when he's fully ramped up and ready to go and has a couple weeks under his belt. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like.
It will. And it's also important to note that Keeler likes to wait to name a starter till a day of the game. For you give him any sort of reason, and he's going to wait till game day to make a decision. That's just how he is. And a lot of coaches are that way, so I can't blame him.
Yeah, especially with an important position too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like that's something that you really do have to game plan for, right? Like a lot of it is scheme and different things, but each quarterback can change how you scheme defensively. So that is the one position that if you're not telling who it is, there's a valuable reason behind it. Moving on to the running backs. Going to be a timeshare. Every running back position is a timeshare anymore in football. But who's on track to be that guy out there getting the most of the reps in at least the starting nine?
Yeah, through the first scrimmage and really through this last weekend, it sounds like Zach Herbachik has kind of been one of the stars of training camp and has looked really good. Had someone tell me that Zach looks like himself. He's back 100%, looks really good. And so I think he's probably going to be the number one. And John Gentry probably going to be right there in the mix with him. Still got to see how he does to finish camp. But last year, this was a job that Zach won coming out of camp. He was the one. And it looks like that's probably going to be the case now. But like you said, it's a timeshare. Even though Herbachik might be listed at one, doesn't mean we're not going to see a lot of John Gentry and Jay Ducker week one and throughout the season. So Zach Herbachik's been really good, has been one of the stars of camp, has had a really good camp. I think as of right now, he's probably your number one, but it's such a timeshare. You're going to see a couple different guys throughout the season. You're muted, Corey.
Hey, not now.
Production meeting on air.
Production meeting on air. We're going to move on to wide receiver. And we saw earlier, Noah Smith got some props from the CUSA roundtable guys. But the big question, Ben, will he be ready for the season opener?
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He was another guy that kind of had a minor knee cleanup in April. He's going to be okay. I know they've been doing some kind of load management stuff throughout training camp, but really no concern about his availability for games. He's going to be good to go. One of your top guys, if not the top guy at receiver. So everybody's looking pretty healthy from what I'm hearing. I'll be out there this weekend providing some more coverage and getting a look at things. And so everybody seems to be healthy, which is big for the wide receiver room that went through a lot of injuries last year.
And in case you forgot, you can find all that coverage at Sports of SHSU, all one word, on Twitter. And you can also go to catfans.com. The exclusive Cat Fund section will have all of that in there, and we'll tell you more about that here in a little bit. Going to move on to the most important position on the field. It's not quarterback. It's not. It's that offensive line. Without that offensive line, it doesn't matter how good a quarterback you have. And last year, Ben, the offensive line was not good. What are your thoughts on that offensive line right now?
Yeah, it's still lining up with everything I think I've said through the spring and through the summer that this was an offensive line that was the worst or maybe the second worst in the conference last year, but definitely made improvement. And I think this year it's going to be an offensive line that's going to be right in the middle of the pack. So fourth, fifth, sixth best, something like that. And I really believe that. And so I think they've had a good training camp as well. Four of the spots are really completely locked down at this moment with Mark Hendrick Beal at left guard, Ethan Hagler at center, right guard is James Don, and then right tackle is Orion Irving. Left tackle spot is still a little up in the air, but it sounds like Luke Eckert is making a strong push to become the starter there. Grayson Jackson-Smith, another name to watch. He was the primary starter there last year. He's still in the mix. I've heard Colt Dieterich has had a really good camp. He's a redshirt freshman. He's getting a lot of reps at left tackle. So 3 names to watch there. That's really the only undecided spot, but 3 guys competing for it, and then the other 4 spots are pretty solidified.
So the one spot we're not sure is the spot that covers the quarterback's blind side?
I don't even know if it's unsure. Grayson Jackson-Smith started – it was a rough start from last year. He started to really pick it up, look good, missed the last month of the season due to injury. And then he missed spring due to injury as well. So he's really starting to ramp back up. And then I've heard Luke Eckert has had a huge summer, really good camp so far. And so I think there's a really good competition between those two guys. You've got someone who, when he was at his best last year before he got injured, started to turn into a pretty decent left tackle. Then you've brought in Luke Eckerd from Iowa Western, who was the starting left tackle there for the national championship JUCO team, and he's just been phenomenal since he got there. So I think it's just whoever ends up winning the job, and I think you've got two decent options there, and I think you're going to be okay with whoever ends up winning it.
Mark me down as concerned until week 1. How about that?
Concerned for 500.
Yes. But I will say this, if you're right, and they're a middle of the pack offensive line, that could be enough to push Sam Houston to a bowl game this year.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, that was the difference in them. I mean, scoring points and not scoring points. It was, I mean, the first 3 games you put up 10 points total. And then you saw the offense really start to turn it on and average about 30 points a game the last month of the year once you started to figure things out. So if they could be middle of the pack and start to perform like they did at the end of the year, I think the offense has a legit shot to be pretty good.
Still concerned. Defensive line. We're going over to the defensive side of the ball. New coordinator, Skylar Cassidy. Some questions remain over there, starting with the defensive line. Who's standing out along the D-line in camp, and what does that rotation look like right now?
Yeah, not. I don't know if questions is the right word, but it's more of roles and responsibilities, kind of who's winning jobs, especially on the interior with how many new guys you brought in to shore up that spot. And so on the interior, it sounds like Denver Warren has kind of been one of the stars of training camp, and he had a huge summer coming over from New Mexico State where he played a decent amount last year. He's definitely going to start there on the interior. I think Quincy Wright is another name to watch there on the interior of that 4-2-5 defense. And then on the edge, I mean, you've got a lot of options. You've got Isaiah Nixon, you've got Javon Leon, you've got Chris Murray, Bryson Hayes, Jaden Phillips. And so you've got 5-6 legit options there on the edge, guys that were here last year, played a lot. And so the interior was definitely a question coming into the summer and after the spring, but the additions they've made in Warren and Wright, I think, have shored that up a lot. And then some other guys like Dylan Frazier and Seth Mason can also slot in on the interior if needed. So don't know how many more questions there are. There definitely were some questions after the spring, but the D-line's looking a lot better, and I think they're in a pretty good spot.
Okay. I mean,
concerned for 400? Is that what we're going for?
No, I'm not necessarily concerned about the defensive line, but there's just a lot of moving parts, right? It's just a lot of moving parts.
On the interior, yes. On the edge, it's pretty much bringing back everything from last year. Last year, you had Isaiah Nixon, you had Javon Leon, you had Chris Murray. Chris Murray's taken a big jump. Bryson Hayes has taken a big jump. He played a lot at the end of last year. But it is a completely new cast of faces there on the interior, pretty much. So
we'll see. I've given you 2 chances, Ben. I've given you 2 chances. And twice you've said Chris Murray, and you didn't finish it.
The pride of Wichita
Falls. Yep. I wouldn't say – I don't know about pride. We have a few people that, like Dr. Phil. He's from –
okay.
Yeah, he studied at MSU or what. Really proud, right? No, Chris Murray from Wichita Falls. That's just a given on this show.
Yeah, and on Chris Murray, I think a lot of people have kind of expected Isaiah Nixon and Javon Leon to be the 1 and 2 on the edge, but Chris Murray's making a big push to kind of be there, maybe be the number 2 guy, and so. Kind of between him and Javon Leon. And I think those are 3 really good options between those 3. And then you've got some other depth pieces behind him.
Chris can be a real terror. He just can.
There's a reason he went to TCU out of high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Watching him in high school was almost like it just wasn't fair. It was a cheat code out there when Chris Murray on both sides of the ball for him.
Yeah. I think he's finally come into his body too after being in college a couple of years.
Oh yeah, and we'll see some of that with the recruits that we'll talk about that committed this week later on too. These guys are going to need a couple of years to come into their body and get in that weight room. We move on to linebackers. Samaje Burrell. We're going to have 2 updates for him. Let's start with the on-field update, Ben. Will we see him on the field for the Cats this season?
Yeah, if we do, it's probably going to be later in the season, especially with him getting to camp so late. He's also working through an injury that he had at Texas, and so I don't even know if he would be ready for the season. I think he's been going through a lot of non-contact stuff from what I've heard. And he's coming in as a redshirt freshman, so maybe if you get him in for 4 games at the end of the year, he had a regular red shirt last year. Maybe you can get a medical red shirt on him if he's not physically able to play enough. This year, maybe he doesn't even play 4 games if he's not able to. So, but I know the staff is very high on him. He's got multiple years left, even after this year, 3 or 4 years. Was a very highly rated recruit out of high school, has a lot of talent. So he's either going to end up being a depth piece probably towards the end of this year, or end up not playing this year, maybe getting another red shirt, and then being a big piece moving forward. So a name to watch, but probably later in the year if we do see him this year. You're muted again.
Look at that. Again, off the field. This is the part we don't like to talk about, but it is a necessity because we are going to give you the full picture and the whole truth. Samaje Burrell he made a mistake. Really. Okay. KXAN in Austin reported that he faced felony charges from a crash in April. If you may recall, Tavondre Sweat, the defensive lineman from Texas, was charged with a DUI. He was driving a vehicle, and he was driving a 2023 orange Ford Bronco when another car crashed into the back of the Bronco. Well, that just happened to be Samaje. He was driving the 2020 Dodge Charger, and so he ended up getting some charges out of this. He's facing felony charges. If it's his first time, which I don't know anything about his history or any of that stuff, but the reason why he's facing a felony charge is because he fled the scene. Because some people said that they thought he was also drunk and facing a DUI. Regardless, if you're in an accident, you stay. You don't leave the scene. You deal with the consequences, and he will face those. Could be pled down. We don't know. Maybe. I'm going to ask Ben if he's had any insight onto that right there, into that situation.
Yeah, I definitely know about it. I have not had any inside info on it when it comes to that stuff. I definitely do know it is out there, and it is something to take very seriously. But I also know that Keeler and the staff aren't going to take someone on that has a character issue or whatever it is they can't work through. And Keeler is a guy that has given some second chances in the past. There were 2 very notable names on the national championship team, some of the biggest contributors out there that had some run-ins and things that they probably shouldn't have done, were given a second chance, did some really good things, and are now doing really big things now. So, yeah, I mean, he's not going to take a guy unless he knows the character is there. Obviously, want to take the thing seriously. It's the law, but don't know a ton of inside info there. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I know they've been given second chances to a couple guys, and could be an opportunity to kind of pour into him and mentor a guy also.
Second chances are important. They're very important. And because mistakes happen. And when one mistake of this magnitude can be overcome. Multiple mistakes of this magnitude is where you're going to start to get into issues. So I like to see a guy like this in this situation be given a second chance, but we also know there could be some sort of legal ramifications at some point to keep your eye on. Also, if it is play, it could completely go under the radar and we may never hear the conclusion of this, but some way, some shape, some form, the law will work through this case and take care of that. Important that we mention it just because it gives you a full view of the situation there with Samaje. Defensive backs. Got a big question here. Isaiah Cash. We talked about him on our last show a couple weeks ago before we left. Transfer, big-time transfer. Houston Christian guy. How's he look? And who else are people we should watch for in the secondary this year?
Yeah, similar to the O-line, 4 of the 5 DB spots were kind of already locked down coming into camp. The second safety spot was the question, like I think we talked about a few weeks ago. And it definitely sounds like it's trending towards it being Isaiah Cash getting that spot. Has played a lot of football. I think he was a 3-year starter at HCU, has over 200 career tackles, almost 2,000 career snaps. And so very good at what he does. And it sounds like he's probably going to be the guy to get that last safety position. Some other names that are competing there. Nike Hawkins, Virginia Tech transfer, Elias Escobar, who played a decent amount last year for Sam Houston. And then the other 4 spots, you've got David Fisher at corner and Davion Armstead at corner. Really excited about those two. Really excited about their size. Fisher is 6 foot and Armstead's about 6'2", 6'3". And then your number 3 corner, Joe Swin, the Oregon State transfer, is 6'3". So you've got a lot of size, especially at corner. You've got Jalen Jimerson, the Liberty transfer. He's there at nickel. He's done a really good job. Everything you kind of expected from him. He was a big contributor for Liberty last year. And then you've got Caleb Weaver at the other safety position. We knew he was going to be the starter there after the spring, and based on what he did last year, a little undersized, but you wouldn't be able to tell by the way he plays. He's very good. I've really liked what Caleb Weaver has done his couple of years here at Sam Houston. So feeling pretty good about the DB room. Sounds like Isaiah Cash is going to get that last spot. Not 100% secure, so we'll see how it plays out. But I think as of right now, Cash is probably the guy.
I'm always a fan of lengthy, long-armed corners. They just play well on a football field. They really do. All right. Hey, Ben, did you know that there are 13 weeks in a college football season? And last year – yeah, you did. That's because you've heard this before. Hey, did you know Mike Craven went to a different school each week last year and wrote this coffee table book? It's a wonderful book that looks at the history of college football. The Guide to Texas College Football. It is shipping this month. Get it in. They are shipping soon. Get your order in. It is a limited edition. They're very limited edition, and at least I would say over a quarter, probably closer to half, have already been sold, and they haven't even come in from the printers yet. So definitely get in there, get to texasfootball.com, get yours ordered. You don't want to miss out on this right here. We also want to let you know that we are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at March to the Pod. That's the word March, number 2, the Pod. It's all one word. And then on Threads, you can find us at the March to the Pod, and not because I was thinking of Ohio State at them. Just saying.
No.
Rivals
with Rutgers. Your wife wouldn't be happy. Rivals.
Oh, hey, look, man. I have a Rutgers mini helmet in my bedroom. We found one at a mall.
Okay.
It's a must buy.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there. Let's see. It's on top of, I have that one and the McMurray mini helmet.
2 of the most random schools you could ever think of.
But not random if you know me at all, I'll tell you that.
No. Not random to everybody but Corey Hogue.
And anyone who knows me.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, we would appreciate it if you go to texasfootball.com/subscribe and subscribe for all access. You get every magazine that we publish before it hits newsstands. Almost got hit in the eye by a baseball. Complete digital access to over 1,300 live Texas high school games. Access to premium content covering every college and high school in the state. And you get that for as low as $49.95. That's really a heck of a deal. It really is. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. And there's a couple other options. There's a digital plus and a print plus where you can get print plus all the magazines. Digital plus, you get all the digital content, and all the magazines are archived. If you can't find the magazine in the store right now because they're sold out, go to the archive section of the website and download it. Download this year's. You can download any year's from the archive section, and that's $39.95. We would appreciate it. Again, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. My son needs to stop hitting opposite field because I'm trying to record.
Get out in front of it, Gabe. Come on.
That's right, Gabe. Get out in front. Come on, man. What are you doing? Which, by the way, if he was to hit one hard enough, Ben, it would go through the roof, which leads us right into our friends over at Eternal Roofing. We told you earlier about the free detailed roof inspections, fast professional service, and the Christmas lights. Of course, we never leave those out. But we also need to tell you about things they can do general contracting-wise. They're more than just a roofing company. They can paint the interior, exterior of your home or business, install gutters, garage doors, install floors, perform any woodworking, crown molding, shelf work, repair sheetrock. That's just what they do, right? They do a little bit of everything. They are who you need to call if you need any roofing or general contracting work throughout the state of Texas, but especially the Hill Country, Houston, Montgomery County area. Give them a call. We'll get you the number on the screen if you're watching right there. You can go in Montgomery County area code 936-215-8539. In the Hill Country area code 831-251-5673. He's trying to get the baseball out from underneath. This is wonderful. This is just great. Or you could visit Eternal Roofing TX.com, and you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. Right there. We highly recommend you get a hold of them today and let them know that you heard about them through March to the Pod, the podcast here. This show, it's been 2 weeks, and it didn't get a whole lot
better. Age well.
It did not get a whole lot better. All right, we have more to talk about. Plenty more to talk about, including Bauer Stadium renovations and turf project renovations. Here we go. We're going to start. That's what it's supposed to look like. All right, we have better things. Here we go. Press is going to be in the top. Apparently, the press gets one window in the top left of the press box. The second level is suites. There's a covered club seating. I like that. I really do. A lot of day games, you get some covered club seating. I like that design. There's also a main concourse that runs behind the covered seating. Your thoughts on what we see right here, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, just it's incredible that we're here. It also got passed on Thursday by the board, so it's official and it's going to happen. Going to start construction. Assuming we're not hosting the conference title game, which you never know, but assuming we're not, it's going to start a couple days after that final game. And I like it. We knew what the inside of it was going to look like based on what we had heard, all the project documents that I shared a couple months ago. But I had been telling people the exterior is going to look different than the original renderings, especially since it's a complete teardown, that they set a budget. So you know what the interior is going to look like. You know what's going to be in it, but just expect the exterior to look different. And I like what we have. And they've got everything in there that they said they would. They've got the regular kind of general seating. They've got the club seating. They've got the covered club seating, which is about 6 rows. They've got 12 suites and a president's suite. They've got a whole level for press and media. So, I mean, this is what an FBS press box is supposed to look like. And so definitely really exciting. And, speaking of, I'll plug Cat Fund here for a second. Part 3 of my interview with Bobby Williams comes out probably early next week, and we talk a lot about the stadium renderings, what went into them now that they're officially out. So we'll get a little bit of inside scoop into that if you're a Cat Fund member. So definitely very exciting and a very exciting time to be a Bearcat.
We're getting there, Ben. Slow down. We're getting there. Yes, the Bobby Williams exclusive is something you definitely want to catch inside the Cat Fund exclusive section at catfans.com. We have a comment here. I'm going to show it for you. Gabe Berrigan said, looking forward to shade from the sun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Gabe.
Yeah, there's going to be areas to hang out too, like whether that be halftime where you can get out of the sun, before the game, after the game, if you were to stick around and hang out with people. So definitely going to help to have those club seating areas, and then just the general concourse, which is going to be more shaded, some team store stuff. And so a lot more options there that are going to be shaded.
Okay, so I do have a couple problems with this rendering. First off, every seat is not full. Second off, these people over to the left, where are they going?
They're coming into the stadium. They're coming into the stadium.
Well, shouldn't they have come in where these other people? And there's only we should have lines of people out there waiting to get into the stadium, Ben. I think that was a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're only going to be able to come in from behind the press box, or if they're going to be able to come in from the sides as well, like they do right now. Do you have a shot of the press box from behind it, or I guess you could call it the front of it, where people would go in? So here's my one design flaw.
Look at you, man.
My one design flaw is, you see the patio?
Yes.
Why is the patio just looking out to the parking lot?
Because what if someone is trying to break into your car, or it's a hot day and you need to get that remote start going, Ben?
Well, then I guess that's what it's for. And there's another picture. You could have wrapped the patio around at a 90-degree angle to where you could have seen the field and kept the patio on that side. So I don't know. That's my one design flaw, is the patio facing the parking lot.
Not a lot of beautiful scenery that you would see from the patio, and you definitely are not watching the game. And by the way, they have the old turf on this as well out there.
They do, but it is what it is. We know.
Now there's grand entry stairs.
Yeah.
Lovely.
That's going to be double. Cool.
Yeah, no, that is. Hey, look, I think it's going to be really, really nice. They have a bridge. They have a perforated screen. Keep sun out or something. Double height club lounge right there. That's from that double height club lounge. What kind of a view are you going to get of the field? I'm guessing a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, because I think there's going to be some mirrors that look out to it, and then they go down to those 6 rows of covered club seats. And so I think you'll be able to see out to the field from the club level from what it looks like.
Okay. Plus, on this one, look, they have a whole lot of people in the stands.
Good job. They do.
This one, you can't really see much about this. This was just more of the inside design. Do you have anything you have to say about this photo there, Ben?
Yeah, nothing really. I think we've covered. It's mainly just breaking down what level is what, and kind of what that looks like. And so, yeah, nothing really to add there.
We also have turf update. Thanks to Colton Foster from the Huntsville Item for posting these the other day. Ben, you were one of the first ones to point out this. I chose Colton's because the turf was a little more finished than when you posted yours. But you did point out this is very, very similar to what you see, and I really like this angle, to what you see on the CFB 25 game.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it is. And that's what I had heard from people, is it was going to look like it was in the game. And so these pictures were from Monday morning, I believe it was. And so I'm going to be there Saturday, and the team is planning that afternoon to be on the turf for the very first time. Very first practice and breaking in the new turf Saturday afternoon. So that'll definitely be exciting to see.
I'd be interested to see those photos. And also credit to the university, right? Like, we give them plenty of grief. Let's give them credit. If that field is looking just like the one on the video game, they did a great job submitting the design, and then the company did a great job of executing the design. Well done all around. Kudos, Sam Houston.
Yep. And for our Cat Fund members, they'll know this, but there is still a ring. There is still a ring around the turf. And I mean, it'll be out in the article that comes out here soon about it with my interview. But the track team might be using that kind of external ring, which is probably about 3 lanes wide, for some of their practice stuff. this year. And so not sure what the surface is, but the plan is to maybe use some of that extra room over there to practice. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see what that looks like between that, Huntsville High School, and some other temporary setups for a year.
I don't know that I like that.
I don't know if I do. Like I said, I don't know what the surface is going to be or what it looks like. And they're still trying to figure things out between having that little ring, which is probably about 3 lanes wide, having Huntsville High School, having some other temporary setups. But
the whole thing was the track out of the stadium, right? Like, I get it. It wasn't. This is we just give them credit. Just gave them credit. This is one of those things they didn't think everything through, right? Oh, we're taking out the track, but no one thought, well, where's the track team going to practice? And then it became an issue.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out, though. And I also talked about in my interview with him the 2 sites they're deciding on for the track facility, $4 million budget for the facility, what that facility might look like. And so more info there in that interview that'll come out soon.
Well, it's funny that you talk about the Cat Fund because that's what we've been talking about a lot today, Ben. We've been talking about the Cat Fund. So if there are people who want to know how they can get involved, how they can find out all of this info, inside info, before they listen to the podcast, tell them where to go and tell them how much it is.
Yeah, right there on the screen. The producer's doing a great job. cat-fund.com. Yeah, right. As little as $10 a month, you can sign up and become a member to support athletes at Sam Houston. We've got a couple events coming up, basketball related. We've got our basketball golf tournament, which is from noon to 6 or noon to 5. Can't remember off the top of my head, at the Bearcat course on October 18th, which is a Friday. And then later that night, we've got our basketball auction at the Walker Education Center, which starts at 6 o'clock. And so definitely make sure to become a member, sign up for those events. For the auction, if you are a Cat Fund member, you get discounted access to the auction. So definitely sign up today and support these athletes.
For as low as $10 a month, you can't beat it. You get all that inside information first. Definitely worth it. Sign up today. Also, after you get done going to Cat-Fund and signing up, head on over to eternalroofingtx.com. And Ben, while you're there, take a look at that gallery, man. I'm telling you, the work that Taylor Andrus and his team does at Eternal Roofing is second to none. And part of it is the quality of product they use. They have CertainTeed shingles known for their ability to resist this Texas weather that has been pretty crazy this year. They last a long time. They look great. And again, earlier we told you they have exceptional workmanship warranties. It's going to be good. It's going to be the absolute best. Now, got to tell you one other thing about it. Say you have a business. They specialize in the commercial roofing for you as well. They can accommodate your HVAC. Any other equipment you have, they're going to ensure minimal disruption to your operations during installation or repair. You just can't go wrong with our friends at Eternal Roofing. Get a hold of Taylor. You can email him, taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. You can get a hold of the Montgomery County office. Number and email address are right there on the screen. Area code 936-215-8539. The Hill Country, it's area code 830-251-5673. You will not be, I'm not sure exactly how I was going to phrase that, but you will not be sad if you go to Eternal Roofing, Ben. You will be happy.
No concerns for 500 when you go to Eternal Roofing.
No, I don't have any concern about them. Offensive line, whole different story right now. But defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball again, Ben, because last week the Cats got 2 big time pickups, my opinion, especially one. Let me tell you the one that I like the most, and that dude is Edge Caius. Is it Caius or Caius?
I think it's Caius, yeah.
Okay, Caius Coy from Round Rock, Westwood. And we have a video here. If you're watching this guy, the video opens with him blocking an extra point attempt. And then as it continues, Ben, you see this guy's got speed. He's got good hands. He is an edge guy. When we call him edge, he is your prototypical edge, a position that really Micah Parsons has changed in football now. And K.S. Coy, he fits that. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, says he benches 355, squats 485. That's a whole lot more than I ever did on both of those when I didn't play college ball. 40 time, laser timed 4.840. That's impressive. Oh, and a little 4.3 GPA for him, Ben. Is there anything KS can't do?
I don't think there is. Yeah, and I'll hit on the last point, the GPA. I think he had a handful of Ivy League offers, which kind of shows to his academic ability, but his physical ability is just very impressive. I mean, very good size, 6'3", 230, going into a senior year of high school. This is a guy maybe when he's getting ready to play in 2 or 3 years, he's 6'3", 250, 255, a legit edge guy at the FBS level. Had some other really good offers too. I mean, UTEP and Air Force and some other bigger schools in on him. So it's good to win that battle and get him to Huntsville. I think he's going to be really good for Sam Houston, and maybe the biggest name that they've pulled so far, and maybe the most impressive name. I mean, physically just extremely gifted, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's got a chance to just be a wrecking crew out there, a one-man wrecking crew. He is down position, linebacker position, just his hands. Like his hands and quickness are the two things that really stood out to me watching the video.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good pickup for the Cats, that's for sure.
And you know what? He wasn't the only one, Ben. They had another pickup this week from Columbus High School, which – do you know why Columbus is a name that I'm familiar with right now?
Something with Ohio State.
No. Has nothing to do with that.
I know. I just had to play on it.
They had a new player come into Columbus. The three-time reigning, defending six-man player of the year, Grayson Rigdon, is at Columbus, and one of the two of us broke that story.
Who wants scoopskis? I got potatoes. Who got the scoopskis? I got potatoes.
That would be Corey.
Yeah, well, definitely I wrote it, but the thanks goes to a whole lot of other people, not named me. Let's talk a little bit about Anthony Shorter, the defensive end who did commit to the Cats. This is a 3A school, a 3A D1 school, I believe it is. They have a quarterback who I think is an Oklahoma State commit. They have the defensive end who is a commit to Sam Houston, and now they have Rigdon committed to Air Force. That's a very talented team. You don't see that at that level very often. And when you see the video that we're showing on YouTube and Instagram, and hopefully next time we're on Twitter, when you see this video here, and this will definitely be broke down and put into clips, he is a guy who, when it says defensive end, that's where I think he sticks, Ben. He's 6'4", 225, a little undersized. That is one concern I have there. Did have an offer from Prairie View A&M as well. I don't know that I see the speed for him to be the edge position like Caius was.
Yeah, he's a little more raw than Caius, that's for sure. Probably needs to put on a little more weight, but was just a huge producer this last year, his junior year at Columbus. I think he had 17 tackles for loss and 12 sacks, something like that. So, and we're seeing some of it right here, just kind of dominating that level. Just reminds me of, just another small school guy in Texas that the Cats get on early before a lot of other schools do. So it doesn't surprise me that he didn't have a ton of offers, but I think once he puts on a little weight and gets a little bigger, gets a little more athletic, he's a guy that can definitely slide in and make an impact in a couple of years. So a little bit raw, but I definitely like what he can turn into.
If he can develop a little bit more of the quick twitch muscles, that should be a focus, because what I see on tape that says, okay, he could play FBS is the instincts. He has football instincts. I don't know how many times in these videos I saw him right there. It's right there as I'm talking about it. He blows up the read option. Whether they hand it to the quarterback, running back, whether the quarterback keeps it, he is right there. And then as we look a little further into the video here, we're gonna go a little further. He's got some offensive abilities too. And so I'm curious, because he played tight end, sniffer guy right there. You know what? Sam Houston has one of those too, Ben. Is this a guy that we may see? He's got hands. Like, I wanted to see his pass catching ability. He's got decent hands. He's got ability to block. He's pancaking guys there. Could we see a position change to tight end for him at some point?
As of right now, I don't think so. It sounds like the staff has him slotted to be a defensive guy. And I think this is the second, maybe third defensive lineman we've had in this class. It's a defensive line that is getting a little old for Sam Houston, and so you're going to need some guys to start filling in. So I think the plan is to use him on defense, but if things don't work out there, I mean, it's a 12 personnel system that Brad Cornelson likes to run a lot. Maybe he could find his way in there as kind of a blocking tight end. So wouldn't rule it out, but I think right now he's probably slotted on defense.
Okay, so how much weight can he legitimately put on that frame?
He's about 225. He could probably get to 240. Yeah, 245, 250, I think he probably maxes out at.
Is that a defensive lineman, defensive end weight in the FBS?
I mean, a guy like Chris Murray's 255. Javon Leon is 260. I think he's got to get to at least probably 250. Maybe he could slot more as a linebacker. Maybe you make that position move. We'll see. I think that is the big thing, though. He's got to put on some weight. And if he does, I think he'll be all right.
I could see inside linebacker for him.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, what I see on this offensive play is that he's mean, dude. He's got a mean streak. He blocks. He runs over people. Again, that's another reason why I think this guy really has three positions, because he is raw. He's going to develop. We'll see how his body develops when he hits the weight room. I'm just going to say right now, I see him at possibly one of three positions.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's good to have versatility. I mean, he's just a pure football player. That's for sure.
Oh, he is. That right there. He goes across the middle, catches it, takes a hit at the legs, hangs onto the football. That's not easy to do, Ben. Somebody comes at my legs, well, I'm going to take a hit because I sure as heck ain't jumping.
Now here we go again. Another catch.
Yeah. It's just he's really good. He's a really good player. I know he's not one of the stars and this and that, but he's those guys you need. He's that solid depth. He's going to come in and he could be a starter, maybe fringe starter by junior, senior year, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. And he's going to be a guy that's going to leave a mark at Sam Houston if he stays and develops the way that he can.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for a lot of guys Sam Houston recruits. I mean, you're not recruiting a 5-star that's going to be able to go play right away. It's typically your 3-star guy that needs a year to redshirt, maybe a year to play on special teams, play sparingly, and then kind of jump into maybe a starter significant contributor role sophomore, junior, senior year. So it'll probably be that kind of track for him and probably for Case Coy as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Hey, we almost made this in under an hour.
Almost. Only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
You know why we didn't make it in under an hour? Because we opened with a rant on the Little League World Series, man. Jeez.
We're due for one of those an episode.
Yeah, if it doesn't go off tracks, it's not on any tracks at all, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the way it goes.
Well, for those who stuck it out, we want to say thank you very much. We appreciate it. For anyone who watched, all those who commented, thank you so much. Ben, thank you, sir. You keep bringing that knowledge, my man. It is second to none out there. And, man, it's football season. You know what we're going to be doing next week?
Talking more football, predicting the season.
Season predictions next week. Who will the Cats be over or under the Vegas odds?
A 4.5?
Yeah. That's what we're going to tell you next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very intrigued to see Corey's answer.
So am I. Because now that reminded me I got to put the homework in to get my answer. Production meeting live on air, right?
Right, and we'll have one next week too.
That's right. So tune in next week to find out what we're going to do in 2 weeks. Right now, you know that next week you're going to hear predictions versus record predictions and how that compares and stacks up to the Vegas over under. Until next time, Ben, good Lord, man, take us out.
Eat 'em up, cats, and stay cool out there.
Stay cool in the shade.